Hey guys, welcome back to On the Ball. This is my wild card review video. I went 0 for 4 in my picks last week. It was a crazy week in the NFL, and I'm going to go over those 4 games with you right now. Texans beat the Bills in overtime 22-19. The Bills had an early 16-0 lead, and then eventually coughed that up, and the game was sent to overtime by Deshaun Watson's heroics. He ended up having 2 touchdowns and one of them on the ground. The Texans go, however, Deshaun Watson goes. He is their entire team. Without Deshaun Watson, I don't even think the Texans are a playoff team. I think their O-line is not strong enough, and they don't have a strong enough defense to compete in the following rounds in the playoffs. But Deshaun Watson is an amazing talent. He's top 5 quarterback worthy. I don't know if he is in my top 5. I can't think off the top of my head, but he is up there. The Bills played aggressive early. They were up 16-0, like I said before. They sacked Deshaun Watson several times. They had a few trick plays, including the trick play touchdown on the first drive, the throw to Josh Allen. But their lack of playoff experience came through at the end as Allen made a couple key ill-advised throws to essentially cost them the game. The Texans may not have a fully better team than the Bills, but Deshaun Watson was easily the best player on the field. Let's go to the Titans-Patriots game. The reigning defending champion New England Patriots were knocked out in the wild card round, as it was their first game ever playing in the wild card round since 2009. They lost that game 20-13. Brady's last throw was a pick 6 that essentially ended the game. The Pats are just, you want to talk about an old Brady? Yeah, he's obviously lost a couple steps. He's, 42? 42-year-old quarterbacks are going to lose a step. But the weapons he had around him, I don't know what quarterback would do well with them, let's just say. They don't have a deep threat. They don't have a number 1 wide receiver. They don't have really a good tight end. Their offensive line went through a ton of injuries and wasn't as good this year. They had really no running game. The only part of their team that's really played well is their defense, special teams, which held them to 13 points. They held them to 14 points before the pick 6. The Titans were the better team. They should have won this game. Derrick Henry we forget he was the leading rusher this year. He ran all over the Patriots. It was a really good game for him. The Titans played one of their best games I've seen them play in the last few years. I don't know if they're much of a threat to Baltimore. We'll get into that in a later video. But congrats to the Titans. They did what not many teams have done in the past 20 years. All right, the Vikings-Saints game. The Vikings pulled off the upset in New Orleans 26-20 on a game-winning touchdown catch from Kyle Rudolph in the back of the end zone. Now, before I get to the Saints and this pass interference stuff, I'm going to talk about the Vikings. Kirk Cousins came in through the clutch, which we haven't really seen throughout his entire career. He made the key throws when he needed to, especially the one to Adam Thielen that set up the game-winning touchdown. I think Dalvin Cook is their key to a deep playoff run if they want to beat the 49ers and keep moving on. Dalvin Cook needs to be healthy and running the ball 20 times. That makes their play action so much more lethal. I think the Vikings were clearly the better team and should have won this game. Now, as for the Saints, I don't want to hear about the refs ruining another game for you guys. You had plenty of opportunities to win this game. And even for the call, now Saints fans, I don't want to hear any complaining about the refs. There was contact between both players. Whether you want to say Rudolph pushed off more, the entire play, Williams and Rudolph were matched up. They were both contacting each other. You guys are the reason for the new rule anyway. So maybe that was a little bit of payback. I don't want to say it was that necessarily because I don't even think it was really a penalty. But the Saints have been complaining too much about these calls. Yeah, I know. It was an egregious call last year against the Rams. The Saints had the ball first in overtime, and there was still plenty of time in that game left. Speaking of this game, you guys were down 20-10 going into the 4th at home against a team you were heavily favored against. So I don't want to hear any bad refs against us complaints. Go win the game. You're at home. You're heavy favorites. The Saints should have won this game. They have a better team. I think they have an overall better offense and even maybe a better defense, or it's going to compete with the Minnesota Vikings defense. So I don't want to hear any more complaints, Saints fans. I'm done. Now, after all that, I'm going to talk about how my Eagles lost to the Seahawks 17-9 as Carson Wentz was knocked out of the game only about 8 plays in to a hit from Jadeveon Clowney from behind as he was going head first down. It was a hell of a run from the Eagles. I don't think they should have even made it to the playoffs with most of their roster. Whatever you want to say about how ever easy the schedule was down the stretch. They had most of their weapons were literally on the practice squad at the beginning of the year. I'm almost to an extent glad that the season's over because the injury bug has just killed all of us, and I think we need a change in management. You know, Mike Grau was fired, and so was the wide receiver coach, I believe. The offensive coordinator and wide receiver coaches were both fired. So I think the Eagles need this offseason to get healthy, get back, prove that you're the best team in the NFC East, whether you want to call it the NFC least or not. They won the division this year. I think when they're fully healthy, especially on defense, the Eagles are the best team in the NFC East because of their management, coaching, and quarterback. Obviously, the Eagles were decimated by injuries. I'm not going to go much into the dirty hit on Jadeveon Clowney. I might go into that in another video with you guys, but it was a dirty hit. I just don't know what Wentz has deserved to not have a chance at a Super Bowl run. I just don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm hoping he'll be fine for next year. I'm sure it will be, but the injury bug has just killed him. I don't know. This is a purely emotional answer, but I know he's talented enough to win a Super Bowl. We'll see. I don't know. As for the Seahawks, they're inept of a running game. Lost all 3 of their running backs in the previous couple weeks to injury. Brought back Marshawn Lynch, obviously. Russell Wilson is the NFL's MVP if there wasn't a Lamar Jackson. I think they were 1-2 for most of the year, and Wilson a little bit trailed off toward the end, but still is carrying his team. I don't know if it'll be enough against Green Bay. We'll talk about that in my next video, but he made the key plays like he always does in the clutch. Not much else to that. I think Seattle has made a great run with what personnel they've had to use this year as well. The Seahawks were a better team than the Eagles, and they won that game. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate all of you guys that are doing so, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.